Well, hey to you. So Meghan O here at STL TV with STL Live. And this guest that we have coming up, I absolutely love seeing women doing the doggone thing, being a boss at the ultimate level, being the voice for the voiceless, right? So this woman here, I like to look at her as my own, like, hometown shero. She's a civil rights attorney. She's also an advocate for children. So welcoming here to the STL TV studio, we have St. Louis's very own Areva Martin. Welcome.
Thank you so much, Meghan. That was an incredible introduction,
You're so
girl.
sweet. Thank
I love
you.
it. Thank
you. And I think the thing that I love about you the most, though, for real, Areva, is the fact of being a woman in leadership, being a woman, the only woman in the room, and a minority woman on top of that. Sometimes we have to be our own voice to ourselves and our mind, and you have elevated at the ultimate level. And you're from St. Louis, so you deserve all of that plus more.
You are so right.
Yep.
We often find ourselves being the only one. And the thing that I think is so important to remember, if we find ourselves in those positions, we got to make sure that that doesn't happen again. It's okay to be the only one, but then the question is, what are you going to make sure that you are bringing people up so that you're not the only one? A lot of times people get in that space and they get comfortable. They like it. They like the attention, right? They like the feeling of being that way, but that's not what, you know, the folks that fought so that we could get in those rooms expected. They expected, okay, you get there and then you lift while you climb. So you send that ladder back down and make sure that somebody else gets the same opportunities and even more than what you may have.
Absolutely, because we didn't get where we were on our own. And like you said, we have to remind ourselves that. And it's also out, and I don't like to say that like, oh, out with the old, in with the new, but it's the cycle of life.
Yeah.
It's the cycle of life. And sometimes it has to be the next person's turn and we just have to hold their hand. And sometimes we have to accept the fact we need our own hand held sometimes.
And girl, we got to cheer for other women. We have to cheer for other women because it's not about comparing what you have to what I have or what she has to what someone else has. We all have our own blessings. We all have our own talents, our skills, and we just got to embrace what we have and then be able to say, you know, girl, I'm proud of you. Look at what you're doing. You're doing the damn thing. And I'm here on the sidelines being your cheerleader, being your advocate, and, you know, just enjoying watching you as you succeed.
Excel and being that light that you are blessed to be in the world. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So there's a few things that I want to talk with you about, right? I have been so excited for this opportunity. Okay, Areva, you are the author to 4 books, right? Let's talk about Unmatched. Like, how long did it take for you to write that book?
So I wrote all of my books. You know, it's a process when you write a book. And people, you know, a lot of people say they want to write a book. And I try to encourage people, if you think you have a book inside of you, then write it. And don't worry about how you're going to publish it or who's going to publish it for you or how many books you might sell. If you have a story to tell, and I think almost all of us have a story to tell, tell that story. Because you know what makes a writer? Someone who writes. That's it.
That's literally it.
That's it. If you're writing, you are a writer. So my 4th book that I wrote, Awakening, I wrote a lot of it during the pandemic. You know, we learned to do a lot during the pandemic. I'd already been thinking about it. I'd already written certain parts of it, but I really, you know, got into the heart of it during the pandemic. Because we were having conversations, if you will recall, the early months of the pandemic happened to converge with what was happening around the murder of George Floyd. So this whole country was in this dialogue about systemic racism, about structural racism, about breaking down those barriers. And I'm saying, look, those are critically important conversations. But if we're talking about racial barriers, we should also be talking about those barriers that women face, because women face, and particularly if you're a woman of color, you face oftentimes dual battles in the workplace. And I wanted folks to have those uncomfortable conversations.
That's the only way that we grow.
That's the way
Honestly,
we grow.
that's the only, and I tell my kids this too. You have to get uncomfortable to get comfortable. And those are growing pains, but you're better when you're on the other side.
Yeah, there's gonna be some lessons. And the key is, how do you turn that pain into purpose and that pain into passion? And we've watched so many people be able to do that, come out on the other side saying, boy, you know, I made it. I'm still standing. I'm still here. And that's, you know, that's a lot. You have not lived if you have not gone through a valley, right? If you don't have a testimony, if you don't have something that you can talk about that cause you to stay up at night, that cause you to feel uncomfortable, then you got a lot of living to do.
Yes, seriously. And then also when you mentioned about like taking with life, taking it moment by moment, right? I want to say high five to you, and I'm proud of you for the money that you raised, the awareness that you raised when it comes to autism, because a lot of people, they still don't know. They hear about the word autism, but they don't truly know what it means or what the condition is. But the fact that you have became that voice and you're advocating for it, and you had a successful event last month, you serve so many people in the community. So let's talk about that, right? So you're in your profession, you're this amazing attorney, right? But with being a mom, we're a mother first. Before anything else, we're a mother first. You're like the St. Louis Beyonce, right? Like, where do you have the time to do all this stuff, right?
You just gave me a really a come up.
No, for real.
What's that upgrade? You just gave me a big
whatever.
upgrade.
No, because that's
what?
serious.
I love that you say that, because people always ask me, like, what's the most important thing I've accomplished? And the most important thing that I've accomplished is being a mother to 3 kids, and 3 very different kids. And it's my son, Marty, who's on the autism spectrum, that was my inspiration for starting a nonprofit special needs network, for doing the work that I do with kids on the spectrum and those kids who live in our most vulnerable communities. You mentioned that some people don't know what autism means, or they get afraid when they hear that word. That is so true. Black and brown kids who have autism are diagnosed 2 to 4 years later than their typical peers, because oftentimes in our community, either we don't recognize the signs or we are in denial. You know, we don't want to face them. There's that stigma associated with autism. In the same way we see with mental health issues. You know, our community has a love-hate relationship. We have, a strained relationship with mental health. We joke about, crazy Uncle Joe or, crazy Aunt Betty.
Oh, I know,
but the reality is we do have high rates of mental health in our community. We've seen an increase in suicide rates due to mental health issues amongst African-American boys and young women. So there are topics that we have to talk about, because we can't fix what we don't face. And whether it's mental health or whether it's an autism diagnosis, I just encourage people, don't shy away from it. Run head in, to it, because you can't understand what the potential is for a child that's on the autism spectrum until you give that child everything they need to succeed. And so we've been able, through Special Needs Network, to help hundreds of thousands of kids literally across the state of California. And during the pandemic, we put a lot of our programs online, so we were able to reach families throughout the country. People were able to tune in to a lot of our seminars and our workshops that we held virtually. And it's just been, I can't think of how my life would have been but for my son's diagnosis. And when I got it, it felt like, a pain point, something that was going to be, something I would grieve. I felt just anxiety. I felt emotionally distraught. And it took me some time. It took me some time to just wrestle with it, pray, ask God, ask my pastor, what do I do? Cry, hide from it, get under the covers, be depressed. I went through all of that. And on the other side of it, God said, girl, stand up.
I chose you.
Yeah, hey.
I chose you because I know you could do it.
Special kids have special parents.
They
so
do.
There you have it.
There you have it. There you have it. What piece of advice would you have for a mom where their child is young and they're just like, my child's not talking, or my child is not, or somebody's trying to compare? What advice would you give that woman? I
would say, first of all, figure out what the developmental signs are for children. You can go on the internet, you can look it up. What age should your child be doing X? So we know at 6 months, kids should be crawling. Around 11, 12 months, kids should be trying to stand up, hold on to things, and start that walking process. And if around 14 months, 12 months, you start to use some words. 18 months, some kids are speaking in full sentences. And if your child is 18 months and not speaking, don't listen to somebody that's going to tell you that Billy didn't talk till they were 5. Or Reggie didn't talk till he was 10. Okay, this ain't Billy, this ain't Reggie. So that may be true, but a lot of times those are just urban tales. They're urban myths. They're not true to begin with. But that is a warning sign. Doesn't mean your kid has autism, doesn't mean they have a developmental disability, but it means that you need to talk to a professional, you need to get an evaluation, and you need to find out, because maybe it's a speech delay, right? It could just be something
It's
like
just- yep.
they need some kind of intervention, some kind of speech therapy. But you want to know so that you can get that proper intervention, because the earlier the intervention, the better the outcomes are going to be.
Yes.
So you can run from it, but you're going to face it. They're going to get to school. The teacher's going to notice it.
Yeah.
You know, they're going to start having problems and difficulties in the classroom.
yeah,
The
they're
kids are
frustrated.
going to
They can't-
notice
yep.
it. Everybody else notices it. You
Yep.
can't hide it. So
Yeah.
you might as well just embrace it. And so I would tell that parent, find someone that you trust, that you can talk to, that will encourage you. Get a friend to say, girl, I need you to walk this walk with me,
Yeah.
to take my kid to a professional to get an evaluation. And seek out others in your community who have been through what you may be going through, because other parents are your greatest resources.
That's
We
right.
have information, we'll share it with you, and we'll walk with you. Find someone who's willing to go on that journey with you. You don't have to do it alone.
Facts. I appreciate you sharing that. I truly do. So we have a little bit of time, but there's two things real quick. I'm sorry. I just can't let it go. But it's two more things that I would like to just cover really quick. Let's talk about Butterfly Health.
Yeah, Butterfly is a digital platform. All the work I did with kids with autism, I realized that a lot of their families were suffering from mental health issues and not getting the help because of access issues, because of financial issues, and that stigma that I talked about a little earlier. So Butterfly is a accessible 24/7 app that we created that addresses issues of anxiety and mild depression with a focus on BIPOC populations.
Yeah.
Culturally informed, culturally sensitive, where you can go in, like I said, the privacy of your own home, talk to other people online that have similar challenges as you have, get one-on-one coaching, and get some support in a very, a discreet way. And then if you need counseling from a licensed clinician, we are able to connect you with licensed clinicians. It's my venture into tech, so I'm a baby tech entrepreneur is what I like to call myself, and I've been having some growing pains as I launched this app, but I'm excited about it. I think it's something that's very much needed.
Yes.
I am a serial entrepreneur. I haven't mastered it yet, but I will.
But you will.
Because it's important. It's important to our community, and it's important to me as a woman, because there's so few women, particularly women of color, in the tech space. So there's a lot that you will see in the future with Butterfly Health, but I think it's going to do a lot to help impact the mental health community, particularly amongst African Americans and Latinx people.
Absolutely, because anxiety is one of those things where you realize you're having it and you can have a whole panic attack and don't even realize that that's what that is. It's
a
real.
lot of people end up in the emergency room thinking they're having a heart attack.
Yep.
See, it manifests itself as a physical condition when it's really stress, it's anxiety, it's mild depression.
Yep.
And I didn't know when I was going through the diagnosis with my son that I was depressed. I mean,
Yeah.
depression is one of those things you don't really know.
That it's there. And when it's there, it's there.
Yeah.
And when you have a panic attack, you're just like, I really just had that. And it can happen at any age.
Yeah.
That's the other part. So don't feel bad if you have a panic attack, because we've all been there before. I really want to say thank you for coming. And now you can see, viewers at home, right, why she is receiving an award for being the ultimate lifetime achievement award that someone can receive, because you see all of the amazing work that she does, not just in California, not just in St. Louis, representing, right, the entire world. So high five to you for receiving your award. Salute to Women in Leadership with the Urban League of St. Louis. You've received so many awards and you're so humble. Google her. I challenge you at home. Google her. Because when you Google Areva, you're going to see like she has so many more awards coming your way. But the greatest gift that you have is being a blessing to everybody and to the voiceless. So I want to say congratulations to you.
Thank you so much, Megan. My pleasure to sit down with you, and you keep doing what you're doing. I love it.
Thank you.
I love it.
Thank you. So definitely make sure that you snatch a copy of any of her 4 books, and most importantly, make sure you connect on her website, arevamartin.com, on all of her social media networks, and most importantly, support her special needs network and download their Butterfly app. I'm Meghan O with STL Live here at STL TV. I'll see you next time. Stay amazing, all right? Take care.